Today I'm turning this cupboard into a drawer. I found it. Is this the one you're looking for? Who even knows what's in here? Got one of these. What else is in there? I've got 3/4 poplar, which is definitely not ideal. A little bit of cupping on it. So I'm going to use my belt sander to sand both the two edges where it concaves up. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a flat surface on this cupped board that I can run against my table saw fence and get a decent cut. I'm going to cut it down to a 5/8 instead of 3/4 that the board was. That'll make it work better as a drawer box. I got it really quite straight. Now I'm just going to clean it up a little bit with an orbital sander, and then it will be ready to go onto the table saw to be cut to a slightly thinner dimension. It is a little weird having a cabinet door 2 inches off the ground, especially when you're 6'4". I mean, I could have never known what was in there. There's many different ways you can make a drawer box, and even the worst butt joined drawer box you can make still going to be strong enough for a drawer box to perform its duty. For this drawer box, I purchased a drawer lock router bit to make my joins come together. So with my table saw, a 10-inch blade, I can cut about 6 3/8 if I flip the board and make a pass from each way. I'll make it in 4 passes, not 2. But so I'm going to cut these boards down to 6 3/8, and that'll be fine for the drawer width. So this is going to put my blade to the test, see if it can do it. Well, let's go. So that's my maximum resaw capability on this saw, and it's not really what you want to be doing with a table saw this size. Because I'm making less than a full kerf pass, or about a 1 kerf pass, my dust extraction from my table saw wasn't really catching any of the dust, so I jerry-rigged up my other vacuum to catch the dust that was trying to blow into my face, and this actually tripped my breaker like 4 times. I've never once tripped my breaker, but having the 2 vacuums and then resawing was too much for the 15 amps. So I'm making a little sanding jig here. It'll be a one-time use jig like most jigs are, right? So just going to clean up that cut, but the saw blade actually made a pretty clean cut on this board. I was pretty surprised. If you want to watch me sand all these boards in slow motion, I'll put a link down below. It's actually at the bottom of the internet. So I'm clamping the boards up to my router fence, and that way I'm going to get them all to the same width and nice and straight. Hey, so I'm ready to route the corners of my drawer box. I did a sample cut because it's a new router, but I haven't used it yet, but that's how it goes together. It really is made for a 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch or 1/2 inch to 3/4. I guess you can do either side on the front. So I'm just gonna see if it works. My boards are about 5/8, so I'm gonna just try and dial it in, and the boards are over length, so if I don't do it great, I can do it again and again and again, and then I'll cut the boards to length when I know that I have my router dialed. So do it. Ghost pencil. But yeah, this is a bad idea to leave a pencil on a router table because that could hit the blade and fly anywhere. So it takes a minute or 2 to set up the bit, and you have to adjust it for a vertical pass and a horizontal pass. But when you come to glue up, it just comes together nice and square, and you have a true square box without having to fuss with clamps and squares. Like if you do a miter, that never really comes out square easily. A dovetail just takes way too long, and the draw lock bit is that perfect thing. It only works on hardwood though. You can't use it on ply. It'll just tear it up. Because I'm using 5/8 material, I had to do 2 passes to bring the rabbet over 5/8. So I'm using a stop block behind the board I'm routing to stop the tear out as it leaves the router. Another thing you can do is cut the boards wider and then rip it down to size after you route it. But I cut these boards to the full capacity and I didn't want to lose any width. Well, that was my first try. It's just a little too tight. I like it to go in easy. Otherwise, when you go to glue it all up, it becomes difficult to get in. So off camera, I made a slight adjustment, and now it slides in easy. Fun fact: when it slides in easy, you can move it faster. Well, that's what she said. So anyway, I'm cutting the kerf for the base of the drawer box, the 1/4 inch kerf. So I need to make 2 passes with my 1/8 blade. I'll need to make spaces to attach the drawer guides to because the face frame of the cabinet is narrower than the cabinet width, so I have to build out the sides of the cabinet. Levi, should we tell them? We've got a little bit of a problem. I went to screw that first piece of ply on and it looks like it's just 1/4 inch plywood and it's not attached to anything, so I can't mount my drawer to it until I fix that. So there's that, huh? What do you reckon, Levi? I'd like to thank the sponsor, Rent a Toddler. They drop the toddler off to you for your video and take him away afterwards. Adds a little character. Alright, so I've screwed in a 3/4 inch piece of plywood into the cabinet, and now I'm going to attach the drawer slide to the next one and then screw it into the cabinet. That way I don't have to try and reach in and try and get the drawer slide in level or anything inside the cabinet, because that would suck. Action! Hey, oh, your shoe's coming off? Oh no.
Jeez. Man of many skills.
Pop that back on.
Okay.
Alright, so the
battery's about to die.
The drawer slides are in and I got the shoe back on, so we're good. Alright, so I'm going to do 2 passes because I don't want to take it all in one pass. It could be too much. So yeah, I already routed the front and backs. Now I got to route the sides. I was thinking about getting a remote switch for my orbital sander connecting to my vacuum, but it turns out I don't really need one just yet. I've got this guy here who's more than happy to do that for me. And off. Child labor. The reason I'm actually sanding these boards again is they cupped a little bit overnight because it was raining that night. So I wet one side and clamped them back flat again. Before I cut the 1/4 inch plywood for the base of the drawer, I'm going to clear coat the inside of the drawer box before I put it together. So let's go to the painting booth. Getting a nice clean cross cut on plywood without damaging the veneers, pretty difficult to do with a skill saw or even a table saw, but the track saw, Festool track saw, it's just so clean. It's just the veneers perfect. That's why I cut really slow, and I'm doing the rip cut on the table saw. Time for a glue up assembly time. It's the hardest thing is to actually do a glue up on camera and not look like an imbecile. I hope that didn't offend imbeciles. You guys are okay. I'm not going to tell you how I did that camera trick. The box is ready, kind of just got to round off the edges on top. Even my shirt changed. That's cool. So everyone gets equal treatment here. 1/8 round over. Everything gets to this. That's what I prefer on a drawer box. I mean, I'm sure you all agree. Got to get that square edge down. So I had to use a chisel and a little sandpaper just to get the corners where the router can't reach. And it almost looks like a pro built it. So I'm just gonna put the guides on the drawer box and I can install it. Dude, that's so cool! Dude, that's so cool! Place my drawer face down, oriented with the drawer box, and I will take my measurements between the drawer box and the opening, transfer it, and mark it, take the drawer out, set it on top, screw it on. Alright, that was harder than it looked. The drawer is installed. Alright, so that project is done. I'll see you next time. Drive safe. This is what the viewer sees, and this is more like reality.
Oh my gosh.